Hunter, thank you so much for taking some time to chat today. And I'm super excited to chat because you are not a one-time business owner or business starter, but it looks like you have several companies. So I'm going to start with the question, which you probably get all the time, times multiple or times three for the businesses you have. But can you just share a little bit about who you are and what the businesses you are? Sorry, what are the business you're currently working on today?
Yeah, I'm the CEO of Assembly, which is essentially a venture studio combined with a holding company that builds creator-led businesses. So we operate four today. So we started in May. Since then, we've basically been launching one business a month. They include everything from Hey Friends, our YouTube studio with Ali Abdal, to Viral Cuts, which is short form video content with Sam Parr and Cody Sanchez, Keyframe, our animation agency with Dan Coe, and then Off Menu, our design agency with a creator that's yet to be announced, as well as Bite Sized, another agency that we run. And we are launching basically just one new company a month.
I have many questions here, but I want to start with why decide to do one company a month? And then also, how did you decide the first company to build? And we'll go from there in terms of how you're actually deciding what company you are going to launch, because it's hard enough to start one business. Would love to hear how you're thinking about this portfolio and then how you actually consider month over month. We're going to start this business to solve this problem, and we're confident it's going to work too.
Yeah, I mean, really the idea of one a month comes from the belief that there's just a lot of opportunity for us and we want to work really quickly to catch up. So versus kind of going super slowly to see how one thing goes, I think we already came into this with a pretty established background and confidence in our ability to operate. So we wanted to ship a handful of complementary companies that all kind of use the same playbook underneath, and build as many as we can, to just ultimately create as much value as we can in as short of a time as possible, right? Part of the reason there is, we don't have any intentions of raising capital. So to kind of get to where we want to go, we need a lot of free cash flow. So launching a lot of businesses really quickly helps us do that. And then naturally, because we're creator led, the distribution that we have for each business from day one is massive. So we don't need this long kind of ramp up period to build advertising or customer acquisition or anything like that. We can kind of just snap our fingers at launch with our creator partners and get just this massive amount of inbound.
Really love that idea of focusing on acquisition from the get-go versus, hey, we'll figure that out later. What I want to do is actually do a quick deep dive into each of your businesses. Maybe the first one is you mentioned YouTube video editing or YouTube video. Could you just talk about what's the problem you identified and then how you're solving it through the business? And we'll do that for each of your businesses. So we'll start with YouTube/video.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube is a $30 billion a year industry, if not more, right? That's just what they do from AdSense. And Arjun, can you name a YouTube agency for me?
I saw Patty Galloway. I think he helps Mr. Beast has some accelerator. That's the only one I've seen. I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, Patty's a great guy. Doesn't have a YouTube agency. He just does some strategy consulting for like growth every now and then, right? There is no done for you kind of full service YouTube agency. So we built it. And that's Hey Friends with Ali Abdal. That business is growing like crazy. It's already cracked seven figures and it's not even a month old yet. So that's the first one. Off Menu is our design agency. Productized design, I think, is the future of that industry. But for the most part, everybody's been trying to like copy paste like that unlimited model, which I think is inherently wrong, and doesn't actually work when you look at it at scale. So Off Menu is a full service design agency that pairs our clients with a global team of elite designers. It's just cranking out the best work possible. Viral Cuts, short form video. Everybody is kind of like doing the hormosiification of like video, and it's all very like copy paste and repetitive. So we saw an opportunity to come in and create something that's much more high quality, and really help creators stand out. So that business we launched in June with Cody Sanchez and Sam Parr as kind of the partners in that. That business is in the multiple seven figures now. What else? Keyframe, Dan Coe animation. He's kind of known for that black and white animation style. And we saw an opportunity to kind of start there slowly and transition that into like a really robust animation studio for like SaaS companies, B2B, early stage startups really trying to communicate what they're doing and get a lot of hype for it. So it's been growing like crazy. And yeah, there's a handful of other stuff that we're working on right now that'll launch kind of month by month across a handful of different spaces.
I love it. Something I was thinking as I hear you describe each of these businesses, and I'm curious if you're seeing this. Do you see crossover or upselling slash cross-selling between the businesses? For example, someone comes in for design and says, hey, I actually have or need help with video. And then you're able to offer that solution. Is that by design? Are you seeing it by accident? Or is that part of the longer term plan too?
It's by design. I mean, we're definitely inspired by like the holding company agencies, the Publicis, the IPGs of the world. Um, we have a lot of people that'll come in and be like, I love this service. This is great. Clearly, I need design work or I need video help or YouTube or whatever. I'm just going to use you all as well. Right. So we do have a lot of customers that share across the different agencies. And that's something that we'll continue to build out as we grow. So it's a really beautiful flywheel.
Something which I'm thinking, and I believe I saw you mention this on Twitter, was knowing when to actually continue on a business or let it die out or flatline. Sounds like from the businesses you've just mentioned now, 7 figures within a month or two, rapid growth, all the signs you'd like to see. But I'm guessing, or maybe not, but I'm guessing there have maybe businesses you've tried in the past which haven't hit that. How do you know when it's time to double down, this is working, versus, you know what, maybe I shouldn't dedicate more time and resources here? How would you evaluate that for the next business you launch, let's say next month?
Yeah, I mean, for us, like Keyframe is actually our smallest business. It's healthy. Like it's a 6-figure run rate. But compared to the rest of our businesses, it's quite small, right? So that's a situation where we have to look at that and say, okay, we have all the distribution available to us, but the offering is just so specific, so niche right now. We clearly have to expand. So we'll give it a pass and kind of pivot that business and see if we can turn it into something more meaningful with the talent that we have. And if that doesn't work, that's likely a situation where we'd shut that business down, right? That situation for us is a little unique though, because it's just something that we view as like a product inside of our broader lineup versus like our sole business. So I've certainly had companies in the past to where, it takes a long time to get revenue or to hit real scale. And I think the question is always like, am I enjoying working on this? And if I do acquire a customer, are they happy? Are they receiving value? And ultimately, if those things are yes, and the problem tends to be that I'm not acquiring enough customers, I think it's a pretty clear signal that you just have to dive deeper into your acquisition. And ultimately, if you get to the point to where you can acquire customers and things still aren't shaping out, maybe it's time to look elsewhere.
I like it. There's a framework in place, but what I really also like you mentioned is that you, at the end of the day, you're thinking about how you feel. You're the founder, you're the entrepreneur working on it, and you can brute force as much as possible. But if you are personally not liking the experience, then it's not going to work out. Another question I do have: we obviously help thousands of people around the world form companies. How do you navigate or understand when it's time to actually form an entity or start a business versus let's explore the idea? I always like to say you don't actually have to incorporate to start working on something. For your businesses now, can you talk through how you think about that? When is it time for you to actually say, hey, it's time to incorporate? And how do you do that for each of these new businesses as you're forming them?
Yeah, for us, once we have a service or something that we're ready to take to market and get customers for, we incorporate, right? So with us, we can forecast ahead. So pretty much as soon as we land on what the hell the business is called, we incorporate it. So that's how we do it. But yeah, I'd say anytime that you're going to interface with customers or have any value exchange hands, that's where it makes sense to incorporate and have an LLC.
Got it. Well, I love that. You come up with the name, you're forecasting, boom, you go ahead and just do it. On that note, do you remember the first time you ever had heard about doula or had heard about companies that offer business formation?
Yeah, we had been using Stripe Atlas. And my co-founder, Sahil Bloom, is an investor in Doola. And he's like, dude, you got to use Doola. So we swapped over. And luckily for us, Doola actually had some really nice features that Stripe didn't, namely in the fact that for some reason, and I hate this, Stripe won't allow you to establish a new LLC that's owned by another company outright, but Doola will. So it's been a huge game changer for us in that regard.
You actually double click into why that's a game changer and maybe diving a bit into this holdco or holding company structure. How do you set it up and why is that ownership setup important for you guys going forward?
Oh, wow. I won't get into the nuances of like how it's all set up because it's complicated. But at a smaller level, essentially, we think of things in terms of categories. So we own three companies that are kind of in the video space today, right? So they're all LLCs. Each one is an individual LLC that's treated as a disregarded entity, and they're owned by a what we call a category company. So it's like Assembly Video Inc., which is a C corp that owns those LLCs. That is then owned by ultimately the holdco, which again is an LLC. So there's a structure that we use that's pretty similar to like traditional like private equity structure. So that's how we look at it.
Love it. In the last couple of minutes, I want to do some rapid fire or more rapid fire type questions. What was the first business that you ever worked on? This could be back in middle school, elementary school, maybe
I was the
even younger.
youngest person to ever be an authorized retailer for T-Mobile.
Were you 6 years old, 8 years old, 10?
I was 18 years old. I had just turned 18.
18 years
You
old.
got to be of legal age.
All right, you got to be 18. I got to ask here, why, how, when, how did that happen?
I had saved up some money as a teenager. I had about 70 grand and I was like, okay, I want to do a business. What do I want to do? But I had no skills. So, I wasn't a designer yet. I certainly wasn't an engineer. And so I was like, okay, maybe I'll start a franchise. And for some reason, like Blackberries were super hot. I knew that, Google was coming out with the Android and T-Mobile was going to get it. And I was like, okay, I'll see about this. And lo and behold, I opened a T-Mobile store.
That's an awesome answer. Second
pretty
question. Second question. If you weren't working on, let's say, this whole code building businesses, what's the one thing you do outside of work? So you cannot do this business anymore. What would you do?
I don't know, man. I think I would be like a ski bum. I would just snowboard all the time. I would just follow the snow around the world.
Snowboarding around the world. Question 3. What do you do in the first 30 minutes of your day, your morning routine?
I check my emails. It's horrible.
Right into email. Hey, but the businesses are growing. It's working. All right. Last question. Many people listening are either current business owners or aspiring entrepreneurs. You've done this multiple times. You were selling phones, it looks like, at AT&T. So you've done this many times on these businesses. Some have worked, some haven't. What is the single biggest piece of advice you would give to someone who's on the fence, not sure about starting? What would you tell them?
Not sure about starting. I think for me, the two biggest things that have helped me is just one is being incredibly resourceful and two is being super perseverant. So I think a combination of like resourcefulness with tenacity can take you a really long way. So I would start my side hustle. I'd be super resourceful and scrappy. And when it gets to the point to where my side hustle is on the trajectory to very soon surpass my income or already has, that's probably when I would transition and go to full time on whatever I'm building.
I love it. I'm already inspired here to think about new products we can offer, new services, maybe in multiple businesses, but I'm excited to personally follow along. And we'll be sure to drop all the links to, well, the businesses now. And then as you add more businesses, we'll have to add those in too. Where's the best place people can find you, follow along in the journey, and actually use these services? How can they do all of that?
I think the simplest place right now is just x.com, I guess is what we're calling it these days. So I'm just _ Hunter Hammonds. That's usually the best place to catch me, I guess.
Sweet. Hunter, thank you so much. Definitely going to be sharing these links. I know there's lots of founders who could use all of these services, maybe even Doola itself. And really appreciate you taking the time today.
For sure, man. Thank you.